Okay, interesting. It's day 25, part 2, because my phone is out of memory again. So, yeah, nice metaphor for the necessity of letting go to create what I want, more space. Um, so, yeah, which brings me to what I'm noticing is that all of this kind of exploration I'm making with like kind of how I am challenged or what I'm discovering about myself through these external structures and how I kind of play with it. Of course, it's really about what's going on inside me, because it's about the masculine and feminine, right? Like the masculine wanting to be free, to be this self, an independent, separate self, and the feminine wanting to connect and be one. And I just noticed that again, that this is in it's in all of our beings, but this kind of challenge is very pronounced in my own being. I'm in Aries rising, and we're coming into the sign of Aries right now. Aries being the baby, the pioneer, the one who jumps head first, who kind of is like, let's go to the edge of the cliff and jump off just to see what happens. It's a risk taker and a pioneer and a visionary. It has that fool quality, kind of like it's a baby. It doesn't know the consequences of what's going to happen, so it's not scared yet. And even if it does, it doesn't care because it's like all about adventure. And I'm also a Sagittarius. That's my sun sign, so I have that quality also of just like this endless seeking and exploring and like wanting to go for ultimate truth. Ultimate truth. Like it doesn't matter what someone says or what's happened before. It's like, let's see what's happening now and what's real, what's really real underneath everything else. And then the other part of me, the moon, is in Pisces. So Pisces is all about dissolving into oneness. It's this combination, right, of being completely like about the ego and like me, and I'm going to express myself and be who I want to be and go for my desires and fuck everything else. And this other part of me that's totally about like just complete compassion and like wanting to lose myself, completely lose myself and surrender to something bigger and yeah, dissolve, just drown in love. So I'm kind of getting to this point where I'm like, I really like these parts of myself. I really like both of them. And if I can really like both of them in myself, can I really enjoy the experiences of my life that are an expression of those two apparently opposing qualities? I mean, life is all about polarity, and this life, and it's part of the polarity that it's also about oneness, right? And so like these blossoms falling, there's a part of me that's like really about starting. I'm really good at starting, and I realized this grief that came up this morning. It's like a lot of grief was about like that dream. It was like, I don't want to, if I'm always in the place of possibility, just ideas of the beginning, then I don't have to deal with loss or failure, because like the possibility is always going to be there, right? Like this stage of like the blossoms falling, like I love this stage, but there's no fruit if I just stayed with this. And I've been okay with that for a really long time. I mean, as much as I'm like, I want the fruit. Obviously, I don't really want it, or it would have happened. And I see it in relationship. I see it in my career. It's like, if I'm actually fully here, if I take up space in this physical world and I really am all out, then money is part of that. It's like the last piece. Not just money, but just what would I be exchanging for the value of money? Like really showing up and serving the world. Because it's like I have the other stuff pretty, I've been looking at it for a long time, and I've made money in the past. So it's more like it hasn't all been online at once. There's been like some parts of me on the ground, and then other parts like somewhere else. And so it's like, wow, if I really want to be fully here, and then I think everything else would line up. And it's the same with relationship. It's like the part of me that's like, you know, I'm unavailable. I'm really not fully available for relationship. So there's kind of this like in and out or partial thing that happens, and so of course I attract relationships that are also not available. And this is not just romantic, but in all ways. I mean, in all ways, these patterns are reflected. So just noticing that in myself, and then this grief that comes this morning, it was like, it's not the grief. I always thought it was like, oh, I'm scared of rejection. Like, I definitely know this pattern in myself. Like, I kind of end relationships, kind of like leaving the party while the party's still good. Although I've stayed in parties that sucked too, hoping that it would get good. But like in relationships that were fun, usually they were long distance, and I would let myself kind of be in the love thing. But it only felt safe to me. I only allowed myself to go there because there was like a limit in my mind. And as soon as the other person wanted more, I would be like, no, nope. And it's hard to leave a party when it's still good, right? It's hard for most people to do that because it's good and you want to hang out. But yeah, I can do that. Like, I can do that. And well, because for me, it's like the real party starts when you leave that party, right? You leave the party and like you go home with like the one you really love, and then like there's a real party, right? Like the after party where it's like not with the group. And but again, even with that, I can only go so far because sometime that has to end, and then this like real life thing has to begin. And like, what does it mean to bring heaven on earth if not to see that the real life is part of the party, and that it does include both. Like for me, I think I've been focusing on, because I've known I have this like kind of go mentality, like a lot of us, and like seeking a goal and looking for the end, and how it takes us away from like feeling satisfaction or celebrating like the moments, you know, of stillness in between, you know, before the next venture. So I've been really focusing on that, like allowing myself to celebrate more and kind of being with the goodness. But what came to me this morning was that I can't ignore the grief. I can't ignore the grief that also comes, the mourning that also comes from that comes with every expansion. Like with every expansion is the celebration of the new thing that's being created, but there's also the farewell to what was. Yeah, and if I could kind of, just be able to be okay with that, to know that, you know, with every event or moment or person or experience that I have this like feeling of like dissolving into oneness with, that Pisces thing, the feminine thing, you know, that like just holds you until you disappear, until you're one thing. That's also going to mean the death of this other part of me that is like willful and wants something. It's not even that I want something permanent, because again, it's really not in my nature to want something permanent. I'm actually not good with things that are permanent. It feels stifling to me. So maybe it's about seeing, that the things that feel permanent, or that the world tells me should be permanent, like a steady job, or a house, or marriage, or having a kid, all these things that feel like, oh my God, I can't do that because I can't stay with things, because then I have to be afraid of losing them. Instead of that, to just see like, no, it's always just It's one thing. It's always just beginning and beginning again. I'm good at that. I'm really, really good at that. At being the fool. That being a fool, it's like, I guess what it is that even within the structure, it's an illusion. It's always free. There's always free, and even what seems like chaos, there's order. So when I feel like I'm being imposed upon with a structure, to know that I can be myself in it, that I am always free, no matter what's happening around me. There was some other piece here that I wanted, that felt important. The Fool card, abundance, taking a risk. Man, it felt important. Okay, I guess it's gone.